to the profiq chat, where we talk about topics such as software development, automating testing and QA, the latest technology, working remote, and life at profiq. Today our chat is about QA automation in software development, and we're going to talk about the tipping points for when automating your testing is really the best solution. Hello, I'm Anke Corbin. I'm here in the US, and with me is profiq CEO Gabor Puhalla in the Czech Republic. Hi, Gabor. It's great to see you.
Hi, Anke. Good to see you again.
So we're going to talk about test automation. And so before we go into it, let's define what test automation or QA automation really is. What's the goal of software testing?
In a nutshell, software testing is aiming to provide information about the quality of the product. Just to give an example, before you release a software product, the product stakeholders need to make sure or will want to know whether the product is ready for the release. So the test process is actually aiming at searching for information about the quality of the product that can be helpful for the stakeholders. And some of those test activities within the test process can be effectively automated, so can greatly benefit from automation. And just as an example, in iterative processes like in agile processes, where you need to do regression testing relatively often, that's an area that is worth considering to automate.
So what are some of the tipping points for when a company would really benefit from automating their software testing, or should consider doing QA automation? When is QA automation actually the best solution?
Well, software testing and automation, one of the most frequent reasons why companies start thinking about improving their testing is customer problems. When they release a product and their customers start using those products, and they are just finding bugs. They are dissatisfied with the usage. But this is like a heart attack when you had the signs of it all along the way, and you were not paying attention to them. I see this quite often at startups or at projects that are just starting. So developers, engineers tend to be, and the whole organization tends to be head down producing new features because they want to get the product out to the market. They are eager to find new customers, and so new features are key to new customers. And this usually changes, so that the balance between producing new features and producing high quality typically changes over time when they already have customers, and keeping those customers becomes equally important for them as finding new customers. So that's definitely a tipping point, but probably not a situation you want to be in. I think there are a number of things that you can watch out for or listen to while you are developing your product, to see whether your test process needs improvement or can actually benefit from automation. One of those situations is when you're significantly changing the scope of what you're doing, of what you're delivering. Imagine a situation that you're delivering a software product, and you are doing it on one software platform for one software operating system. Let's say for Windows, and then you decide you want it is successful, but many of your customers are on Mac or eventually Linux or mobile devices, so you decide to deliver the same product on multiple operating systems. So suddenly the scope can multiply, and your resources are typically limited. So you need to look for smart ways how to address that huge scope. And you can definitely think about test methodologies, about things that can help you to shrink the scope to a big extent. But test automation would be definitely a good thing to consider at a point when your scope grows dramatically.
Yeah, I've noticed, especially companies that have been around for a while, the reality is you're going to have all sorts of versions and all sorts of platforms and all sorts of customers using different pieces. And every time you make one change, it can impact all of the other pieces. And it's really challenging to do that manually. I mean, it's almost impossible at some point.
Yeah, definitely. Especially those repetitive tasks that you need to do, multiple times, and the same thing multiple times over the time. Uh, People get bored. They get, the work they do is error prone, and so automation can definitely help in those situations. Um, or another that comes to my mind is so sometimes you just keep the same scope. Your scope is not changing, but somehow your requirements change. So then this, I can think of a situation that I experienced on my own on a customer project. So the customer was delivering a software product, and they were a successful company. They were delivering to the public sector, primarily to elementary schools, and those elementary schools, they didn't were not able to pay big money. So it wasn't, each individual customer was paying reasonably, but it was not the big money that some companies may be hoping for. And on the other side, they were customers who have patience. So they were actually willing to wait. For example, if they found a problem on the customer side of the school, they didn't push the bug to be fixed for by the next day, within 24 hours, or sometimes they were able to they were willing to wait for a couple of weeks or even a month for the fix. So it was a pretty reasonable environment for that company. And so they experienced a point in their life when they decided, when they actually have seen a big opportunity in big enterprises. So they decided to go after big enterprises. A big benefit is they are able to pay big money, right? On the other hand, they are very demanding. So this customer found a big customer, a huge enterprise, and so they were very happy that they sold the product. And but what happened is immediately after they deployed the product, the new customer started calling them. Hey, I have a bug. I need to fix it within 24 hours. We have it in our SLAs. And even if that was in the SLAs, the company was not prepared for that organizationally. So the support organization became very busy very soon. Then, when they didn't have time anymore, they actually moved the work to QA, to testing. So test engineers were helping to reproduce bugs, troubleshoot bugs, look after configuration issues. And when testing became completely busy, they pushed those issues to development. So uh, now they arrived at a point when the whole engineering organization got paralyzed. So they just realized they had to change in order to be able to serve that customer successfully. And that was a change across the whole organization, but specifically for testing too. They realized that they actually want to find those bugs before those bugs get to the customer side, because it's too expensive for them to fix them later. So they had to look for methods and approaches, how to find those bugs faster, how to cover a bigger scope faster. And test automation was one of the things that they decided to apply, and that helped them on the project.
It's really challenging, and I think all organizations get to that point where there's this huge tension between new features and responding to sales and marketing and growth and the things that you're continuing to sell, and then as your business gets bigger, the managing of what you already have and the customers that you have and making them happy. And there's that tension is a pretty uncomfortable place to be, because I think the engineering team really can't do both without some really unique and different processes from when they first started, right?
Yes, and you can feel that tension towards the customer, but you can feel that tension sometimes even internally within the organization, and which can lead to another point when you might want to consider improving your test process, or deploying test automation in the test process. Is so your engineering organization is as strong as its weakest link, and sometimes it is testing that becomes the weakest link. So you hire a number of developers, you are able to progress pretty fast with development of new features, but you don't adapt your QA organization to that. So QA is, in a way, becomes a bottleneck in the delivery process. Uh, QA is not able to do the testing fast enough. So what they do is one of the things that they tend to do is they spread the work in time, and that means developers who could receive the feedback about the product quality, receive the information about the bugs that they have to fix on the first day, they might need to wait for a month up until to a late phase in the release to learn that there are bugs in the release. So there is, at the end of the day, there is no time to fix those issues. So you even either have to push out the release date, or you just have to accept uh, you are going to have to release with those. You're not given much of a choice in such a situation. So and that's a tension that you feel within the organization too. So you will definitely want to think about improving your test practices approaches, and automation is a tool, is an approach for you to speed up the testing, especially if you have a lot of repetitive work across different platforms or across different browsers, if that makes sense in your scenario. So testing becoming a bottleneck in the organization can be one of those points where when you realize, hey, I need to look at it, and maybe automation is going to be the answer.
Yeah, I've noticed in, well, some of the companies we worked in, it also kind of became this heavy burden for the engineers, and it sometimes even led to some discontent and frustration, and they just weren't as happy working there because they just felt like they could never keep up, right?
Yes. On the other hand, it is often testers who have good ideas, or who sense things that others can't sense, because developers are head down developing features or fixing bugs, and or the support organization is concerned about support. So the thing that I think management sometimes misses to listen to, or to take care of, is the feedback of experienced staff from testing. So experienced test engineers, they often can spot areas that are weakly covered by testing, or areas that are problematic in terms of quality. And it is difficult to listen to their feedback when the release is full steam ahead, and extend the testing. But I think it is always worth to listen uh, to the feedback of experienced people, and that at least give it a thought, and try to understand the criticality of those concerns they are raising.
I think that's really great advice. You've mentioned some of the benefits of automating testing for software developers earlier in our discussion, but what are some of the other considerations, and what are kind of the core benefits of looking at automation and testing?
Well, yeah, as you mentioned, I probably mentioned some of those while I was speaking, but simply said, it is money, time, and quality, or confidence in the product. So money, in a sense that automation can save you time, can save you effort. You definitely want to make a wise decision when you decide to automate things, because automation isn't an answer for everything, but especially for those tasks that you do frequently, those that are routine tasks, that are repetitive, are definitely an area where you can think of saving a lot of time, and consequently money. Um, time from the standpoint of, um, I think I mentioned it. So when I was talking about the testing organization as a bottleneck, or I was talking about it also about the in the case of the changing customer requirements. So sometimes you just can't wait for 2 months for testing to deliver those test results. Sometimes you just want to have the results within a week, and some of the results you may want to have every day. And so testing, or especially automated testing, can help you to get your product out to the market fast. So that's from the time standpoint, and the quality or confidence. Just imagine a situation that you tested a product in whatever way you did it, and you go to the product stakeholders, management team, and say, "Hey guys, I think the product is ready for being shipped. I tested half of the product and I didn't find any bug. It is really good." So management will probably wonder, so you tested half of the product, so the other half is not tested? What does it mean? I mean, can we just, does it imply that the second half is as high quality? And you may argue saying, yes, so this, yeah, it should be the same, right? Because it's just the same, very similar operating system. But the confidence that might undermine the confidence of management. So if you're able to extend the testing and tell your management we tested 80% of the possible scenarios, or 90% of I think I shouldn't be saying possible scenarios, but all the planned scenarios. In such a case, I mean, their confidence in the product may grow, and it isn't only the confidence, but in fact, if you cover a bigger scope, you're able to find more of the bugs, so less of them will skip to the customer side. So ultimately, you can improve the quality.
Absolutely. That's really great advice. Gabor, as always, it was really great to chat with you today. And so, if you'd like to learn more about how we find and develop these highly skilled QA software engineers for our clients, please watch the profiq Chat #1, which we released recently. And don't hesitate to reach out to Gabor at profiq.com. We'll also have all this information in the write up with the video as well. And then, just learn and explore if automating QA is a good solution for you. Join us next time for more discussions about about software development, QA automation, technology, working remote, and life at profiq.